Have you ever wondered who you really are beneath your thoughts and feelings? What if the person you think you are isn't your true self at all? These questions lead us to explore a fascinating concept, the illusion of self and the unveiling of the ego. In this video, we'll dive deep into understanding what the ego is, how it shapes our perception of ourselves, and why recognizing its influence can be a game changer in our lives. Let's start by understanding what the ego actually is. The ego is like an inner voice or mental construct that creates our sense of self. It's the part of our mind that says I, me, and mine. The ego builds our identity based on our thoughts, memories, experiences, and the roles we play in life. It's the narrator of our personal story, constantly interpreting and judging our experiences. But here's the catch. While the ego plays an important role in helping us navigate the world, it often creates a false self-image that can limit our growth and happiness. The ego tends to identify strongly with our thoughts, emotions, and external factors like our job, relationships, or possessions. It clings to these things as if they define who we are at our core. This attachment to a fixed identity leads to a limited and often inaccurate self-image. We start believing we are our thoughts, our emotions, our achievements, or our failures. We might think, I'm always anxious, I'm a successful business person, or I'm a failure. But are these labels really who we are, or are they just temporary states and roles we're playing? The ego's influence on our behavior can be quite profound. It often drives us to seek validation and approval from others, to compare ourselves constantly, and to fear change or uncertainty. We might find ourselves getting defensive when criticized, boasting about our achievements, or feeling threatened by others' success. These are all signs of the ego at work, trying to protect and enhance its idea of who we are. Another common ego-driven behavior is the need to always be right. We might argue fiercely to defend our opinions, even when it's not important. The ego hates to be wrong because it threatens its sense of identity and control. This can lead to conflicts in relationships and missed opportunities for learning and growth. The ego also tends to dwell on the past or worry about the future, rarely allowing us to fully experience the present moment. It might replay old regrets or anxiously plan for future scenarios, robbing us of peace and contentment in the here and now. Recognizing these ego-driven patterns is the first step towards freedom from their grip. When we become aware of how the ego operates, we can start to see beyond its limited perspective. This awareness opens up new possibilities for personal growth and authentic living. One of the main benefits of recognizing the ego is increased inner peace. When we're not constantly trying to defend or prove ourselves, we can relax into a more natural state of being. We become less reactive to external events and other people's opinions, finding a sense of stability within ourselves. This recognition also leads to more authentic relationships. When we're not operating from a place of ego, we can connect with others more genuinely. We're less likely to engage in power struggles or seek constant validation. Instead, we can listen more deeply, empathize more fully, and relate from a place of true understanding. Recognizing the ego also allows for greater personal growth. When we're not trapped in a fixed idea of who we are, we become more open to new experiences and perspectives. We can explore different aspects of ourselves without fear of losing our identity. This flexibility and openness can lead to remarkable personal transformation. So how do we start recognizing the ego in action? One effective technique is to practice self-observation. This means becoming a witness to your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions without getting caught up in them. It's like stepping back and watching your mind as if you were watching a movie. For example, the next time you feel angry or upset, try to pause and observe the feeling. Notice the thoughts that accompany it, the sensations in your body. Don't try to change anything, just watch with curiosity. This simple act of observing creates a bit of space between you and your experiences, allowing you to see that you are not your thoughts or emotions. You are the awareness that perceives them. Another helpful technique is to pay attention to your self-talk. Notice when you use phrases like "I am" or "I always" or "I never." These are often signs of the ego defining and limiting you. Question these statements. Are they really true? Are they helpful? Or are they just habitual thought patterns? It's important to approach this observation with kindness and non-judgment. The goal isn't to criticize yourself for having an ego. Everyone has one. The aim is simply to become aware of its presence and influence in your life. As you become more aware of ego-driven thoughts and behaviors, you can start to challenge them. This doesn't mean fighting against the ego, but rather gently questioning its assumptions and beliefs. For instance, if you notice yourself feeling inferior because someone else got a promotion, you might ask, "Is my worth really determined by my job title? What other aspects of my life bring me fulfillment?" Or if you find yourself getting defensive in an argument, you could pause and consider, what am I trying to protect here? What would happen if I listened openly instead? These questions help to loosen the ego's grip on your sense of self. They open up space for new perspectives and ways of being. Remember, the goal isn't to get rid of the ego entirely. It serves important functions in our daily life. The aim is to see beyond its limitations and not be ruled by it. One powerful way to move beyond ego identification is through the practice of mindfulness and meditation. These techniques help us cultivate presence and awareness, allowing us to experience life directly rather than through the filter of the ego. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It can be as simple as focusing on your breath, noticing the sensations in your body, or being fully engaged in a task at hand. When practiced regularly, mindfulness helps us step out of the constant stream of thoughts and into direct experience. Meditation takes this a step further, providing dedicated time to quiet the mind and observe our inner workings. Through meditation, we can learn to distinguish between the constant chatter of the ego and the deeper, more peaceful awareness that lies beneath. Living in the present moment naturally weakens the ego's hold because the ego thrives on past regrets and future worries. When we're fully present, we're in touch with a deeper aspect of ourselves that isn't defined by thoughts or circumstances. It's important to note that the goal isn't to completely eliminate the ego. The ego plays a necessary role in our daily functioning. It helps us navigate the practical aspects of life, set boundaries, and interact with others. The key is to find a balance between the ego and our deeper essence. A healthy ego allows us to have a sense of individual identity while remaining flexible and open. It enables us to pursue goals and engage in the world without becoming overly attached to outcomes or defined by external factors. The challenge is to align the ego with our authentic self. This means using the ego as a tool rather than letting it run the show. We can learn to make decisions and take actions that are in harmony with our deeper values and true nature, rather than being driven by fear, insecurity, or the need for approval. As we learn to live more from our true self and less from ego, life can change in profound ways. We may find a greater sense of ease and flow in our daily experiences. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming might be approached with more calm and clarity. Relationships often improve as we become less defensive and more genuinely interested in others. We're able to listen more deeply and connect more authentically when we're not constantly trying to protect or prove ourselves. Creativity can flourish when we're not limited by the ego's fear of judgment or failure. We become more willing to try new things, express ourselves freely, and learn from both successes and setbacks. There's often a greater sense of connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. When we're not trapped in the ego's narrow perspective, we can appreciate the interconnectedness of all things and feel a part of something larger than ourselves. Decision-making may become clearer and more aligned with our true values. Instead of being swayed by what others think or what we think we should do, we can tune into our inner wisdom and make choices that feel authentic and right for us. It's important to remember that unveiling the ego and discovering our true self is an ongoing process. It's not about reaching a perfect state where the ego never affects us. Rather, it's about developing the awareness to recognize when the ego is at play and the ability to choose whether to engage with it or not. There will still be times when we get caught up in ego-driven thoughts or behaviors. That's okay. The key is to notice when this happens and gently bring ourselves back to a more centered state. Each time we do this, we strengthen our ability to live from our authentic self. As we conclude this exploration of the illusion of self and the unveiling of the ego, let's recap some key points. We've learned that the ego is the mental construct that creates our sense of self, often leading to a limited and false self-image. We've explored how ego-driven behaviors can cause suffering and disconnection, and how recognizing the ego can lead to greater peace and authenticity. We've discussed techniques for observing the ego in action, challenging ego-based beliefs, and cultivating presence through mindfulness and meditation. We've also emphasized the importance of balancing the ego with our deeper essence and explored how life can change when we live more from our true self. Remember, this journey of self-discovery is unique for each person. There's no one-size-fits-all approach or final destination. The beauty lies in the ongoing exploration and unfolding of who we truly are beyond the constructs of the ego. As you continue on your path, be patient and kind with yourself. Celebrate the moments of clarity and insight, and be gentle with yourself during times of struggle or confusion. Every step, every realization, is part of the rich tapestry of your personal growth. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep opening to the vastness of who you are beyond the ego. You might be surprised by the depth, peace, and joy you discover along the way. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the illusion of self and the unveiling of the ego. May your journey of self-discovery be filled with insight, growth, and authentic living. Until next time, stay curious and keep growing.